Hey everyone, welcome back for another video. Backlog Gaming here, giving you the rundown of the new Helldivers 2 patch notes for Galactic Emergency. This is going to kind of be a raw video. We're doing an emergency all day stream today, so I want to kind of film this, get it up, get it done, and then go live in order to start the battle. So, big things that came in this patch for the overview, you'll see on my screen. New Illuminate faction enemies that they have released. New weapon customization and progression. There's crash fixes, weapon fixes, and miscellaneous fixes. We're not going to worry about the crash fixes. We're not going to worry about the miscellaneous fixes. The only thing we're going to focus on this video is the weapon fixes after we get to that point. So, major update, weapon customization, gear up, Helldivers. Your arsenal just got personal. So with this, we have the weapon customization system. This was data mined, a year or so ago. But we can tinker within the menu to customize specific weapon configurations to switch them during a mission loadout sequence. So they're giving us a little bit of robust customizability to deal with these. Now, I have not dived into the game. I have not seen what the system looks like, how it functions. I'll probably make an additional video once I understand what's out there, what you can do, and how you do it. New Illuminate enemies. We're getting the Stingray. These are jet fighters that provide Illuminate support from the sky, targeting Helldivers and lining up for devastating strafing runs. We got the Crescent Overseer. Has the ability to lay barrages on Helldivers and covers. And we have the Flesh Mob, a failed Illuminate experiment made up of voteless parts turned into a brute battlefield force that the Helldivers must work too hard to destroy. So, 3 additional on top of, I believe it's 5 that are there. So that's pretty good, robust of the Illuminate, where I'm happy to see that the Illuminate are finally here in full force. So that could cause some loadout changes for me personally, in order to deal with these current other ones, because lastly, it was just mostly about mowing stuff down. Weapon balancing. So they introduced spread, drag, sway, melee weapon stamina cost, shrapnel spawning, and fire damage. So spread refers to how much the projectile veers from the point that you're aiming when you fire. So this is going to primarily affect SMGs and sidearms, which are which previously had noticeably higher spread values. We reviewed all primary sidearms and support weapons with the intent to significantly reduce spread overall, as it didn't make much sense for these specific weapons to have such high accuracy. Drag. Drag determines how quickly a projectile loses speed over distance, affecting its damage. We've increased drag for pistol caliber ammunition used in SMGs and sidearms to better represent its shorter, wider projectile compared to the rifle rounds. As a result, these weapons will be slightly less effective at longer ranges. Sway. Sway refers to how much the weapon's aim shifts, influenced by factors of movement and stance. It represents the weapon's inertia and stability. So weapons with lower ergonomics will experience less sway, while those with higher ergonomics will have more. Sidearms will naturally have more sway than primaries due to the lack of support features like a stock. This balance patch specifically focuses on adjusting sway for primaries and sidearms. Stamina cost. So this comes down to melee weapons. Will now consume less stamina when attacking, reducing the cost from 0.1 to 0.05. That's a big buff. This change makes melee combat less punishing and allows players easier repositioning in between strikes. The affected weapons include the stun baton, the stun lance, the combat hatchet, and the entrenchment tool. Shrapnel spawning. So this is going to be, what shrapnel is when something explodes, there's stuff that blows outward. With this update, shrapnel will now always spawn in full 360 spread, regardless of where the explosion occurs. This means weapons like the Eruptor will now more reliably hit the intended target with their shrapnel, in addition with adjusted shrapnel performance against armor. Shrapnel now has a reduced effectiveness at poor impact angles to reduce the lack of design for armor penetration in such situations. This shrapnel balance changes impact the following weapons: the Eruptor, the Frag Grenade, and the Autocannon. Balance changes. Armor penetration decreased on shrapnel projections from 3330 to 3320. Each of these numbers represent an angle threshold, which means that they will reduce the AP value of 3 to 2 in the last range of where the shrapnel projectile would penetrate the enemy. So, big changes there. I don't know how that's going to affect those weapons and the effectiveness of them. I know when they messed around with shrapnel previously with the Eruptor, that we had some issues with it easily killing teammates that, you shoot and then the shrapnel was coming. So hopefully that's been addressed with this, that we're not going to see that issue arise again, especially with the autocannon being in this change. Frag grenade, the shrapnel spawned from 30 to 35, and then the autocannon flak, which I don't know. I don't personally utilize the flak on it. Increased shrapnel spawn from 25 to 30. So maybe we made the flak a little bit more powerful for flying enemies. Fire and flamethrowers. This update aims to better balance fire damage between direct hits. Those like those from flamethrowers, the burn effects over time, while also introducing scaling of fire damage depending on the size of the enemy. Previously, burn damage didn't scale well against larger enemies, making putting them on fire feel less effective in those encounters. I like this because not only does the flamethrower and stuff do that, but like also so does the sickle, the new sickle does that. Now that the larger the enemy, the more damage they will likely take while burning. However, bigger enemies will also have slightly more resistance to ignition. Additionally, direct fire damage now scales with enemy size. So large enemies like chargers will still have roughly the same damage as before, while smaller enemies take slightly less. We have also increased the magazine size from the flamethrower, the torture and the flamethrower, because of putting stuff on fire is fun. So burning damage now scales with enemy size, and will do more damage over time to larger enemies. Fire direct damage also scales with enemy size. The base damage of direct fire hits has been lowered as compensation. This means that large enemies will take roughly the same amount of damage as they did before, while smaller enemies will take slightly less. Time to ignite. Larger enemies now take longer to ignite. Robotic enemies are harder to set on fire than organic ones, and incendiary ammunition and lasers are now less effective at igniting enemies, but once they do, resulting burn damage is more impactful thanks to the new scaling items. So they'll be harder to ignite, but it can happen. The Helldiver is now slightly more resistant to being set on fire. Burn damage taken by the Helldiver remains unchanged. So, that's that. Primary weapons. Liberators spread decreased from 4 to 2. Liberator Penetrator. Starting magazines increased from 5 to 6. Max spare magazines increased from 7 to 8. Arc Liberator Concussive spread decreased from 24 to 4. Assault Rifle spread decreased from 4 to 2. The AR-23A Liberator Carbine spread decreased from 4 to 3. The Tenderizer spread decreased from 4 to 1. The SMG Defender spread decreased from 20 to 5. Drag increased from 0.3 to 0.6. And Sway increased from 1 to 1.2. The Pummeler spread decreased from 20 to 5. Drag increased from 0.3 to 0.6. Sway increased from 1 to 1.2. And the MP98 Knight spread decreased from 25 to 5. Drag increased from 0.3 to 0.6. And Sway increased from 1 to 1.2. The STA-11 SMG spread decreased from 25 to 5. Drag increased from 0.3 to 0.6. Sway increased from 1 to 1.2. SMG 32 Reprimand spread decreased from 40 to 5. Drag increased from 0.3 to 0.6. Jar Dominator. Sway decreased from 1 to 0.8. The Diligence Counter Sniper. Sway decreased from 1 to 0.8. The Torture magazine capacity increased by 25%. Eruptor's getting quite a big change here. Spread decreased from 10 to 5. Ergonomics increased from -14 to 25. Sway decreased from 1 to 0.8. fire rate increased from 25 to 32, and fixed a bug that allowed players to cancel the eruptors round cycling animation, effectively increasing the fire rate. This is the intent of these changes. So they took that away, that animation cancellation. The improvements made to the eruptor are designed to compensate for the removal of the reload exploit, ensuring that its overall power remains steady or even improved. So it's a slight buff or equal based on this animation cancellation that was there. The Plaz 39 accelerator rifle drag increased from 1.5 to 0.1 is now categorized as an enemy weapon in the loadout menu. An energy weapon, not an enemy weapon in the loadout menu. The changes to drag means that it won't lose speed of damage as it travels through the air, but it does the damage you would expect it to do. Sidearms. The ultimatum is now affected by Hellpod optimization booster. Explosion damage increased from 1,000 to 2,000. Explosion inner radius decreased from 4 to 2. Projectile damage decreased from 3,500 to 1,000, and demolition strength decreased from 50 to 40. Sway increased from 1 to 1.3. The intent of these changes, so they want to add here. We want to maintain the ultimatum's overall power level while rebalancing how the power is delivered, shifting more of the damage from the projectile itself to the explosion. Previously, the ultimatum behaved more like a massive kinetic projectile, similar to the 380 millimeter shell. Because of this high projectile damage and relatively weaker explosion, the update reinforces its intended identity as a powerful explosion weapon, emphasizing high explosive damage over impact force. Most heavy enemies will now die from a close hit instead of a direct hit, except for the factory strider. Additionally, due to its reduced demolition strength, the ultimatum will no longer destroy stratagem jammer objectives or landed Illuminate warp ships through the shields. However, the dropships now have health, allowing the ultimatum to destroy them once the shield is down. So a lot of people were utilizing that to take down the stratagem jammers. So I think people are going to be a little bit upset about this one. Peacemaker decreased spread from 30 to 10. Sway increased from 1 to 1.2. Redeemer decreased spread. Sway increased. So these is all basically across the board fixes. We're not going to worry about the crash fixes, weapons and stratagems. We're not going to worry about all these. And then there's known issues that are already addressed. So the big thing in this patch is going to be the changes to weapon balancing and talking about it. The new Illuminate enemies. And then from there, it's a major update. We get in the weapon customization gear up Helldivers. So that's going to be it for this one. That's just the patch notes in general have been put out. Again, we'll have another video once we dive into weapon customization and mess around with it after today, and the progression system linked with it. And then I'll probably do an overview of the Illuminate faction enemies. There are some trailers that were released, so I will be doing some reactions to those essentially, and uploading them to the channel. So if you like what you saw, go ahead and hit the like button, subscribe. Our current goal is 500 subscribers to the channel. We are fairly new when it comes to making content, but we have been live streaming also. So right now, current goal is 500. We are currently at 270 at the time of filming these patch notes. We are live every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, 8 p.m. Central Standard Time to 11 p.m. Central Standard Time. Anything Monday through Thursday can be completely random if you're looking for those. But if you want to check out the live stream, we stream on YouTube, Twitch, and Facebook at the moment right now. We are attempting to get up a TikTok stream by Friday. But I appreciate each and every one of you for tuning in, and I hope you have a great day.